Go for it.
Oh yeah, 2 pre-rolls. Drop that mop. You know what would really benefit from some spring cleaning? Your butthole.
Dirtiest part of the human body.
Switching from wasteful toilet paper to a sustainable Hello Tushy bidet gets your bottom twice as sparkly while cleaning up your impact on the planet. I've got a Hello Tushy bidet. You should too. Go to hellotushy.com/JRVP. Use the promo code JRVP to get 10% off plus free shipping on your first bidet order. That's hellotushy.com/JRVP for 10% off. You can also visit betterhelp.com/JRVP today to get 10% off your first month. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JRVP. 2 pre-rolls out of the way. We're talking regrets. We're talking Twitter verification. And we're having the earliest recommendation station ever coming up in episode 201 of the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project. JRVP.
Junior Vice President.
You will walk many miles. Dozens will become hundreds. Hundreds will become thousands. Your adventures will continue for years and years.
If you're watching on YouTube, of course, you see the cover of our artwork for our podcast where I'm wearing the robe. And now that I see it for the first time without being the owner of it, I kind of miss it. Episode 200 is gone. The robe is gone. I'm never getting it back.
Yeah, you gave it up voluntarily. And we will talk about that a little bit later. But first, ask me what my quote's from.
What's your quote from?
I'm in a great mood today, by the way. I feel energized artistically, if you will. I saw a couple great pieces of art, 3 great pieces of art this week. 2 I'll talk about now. The first I want to talk about, Beau is Afraid. Have you heard about this movie?
A little.
Joaquin Phoenix. I hear it's batshit, okay? I hear it's batshit, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested. I love Ari Aster, the guy who did Hereditary. He did Midsommar. And then this is his 3rd film, and I'm like, I'm into it. It's the biggest budget A24 has ever given to a movie. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested. And then I hear it's an IMAX. And I'm like, this movie looks batshit. I don't know who wants to go see it. The fact that it's an IMAX, I've got to go now. Liz and I go Sunday night. That's what my quote is from. And it is a 3-hour panic attack. It is completely insane. It is hard to sit through. Liz is pissed when we walk out of there. It's like I'm sitting there just being like, this will end at some point. I didn't enjoy watching it, but I loved it. And it's like I cannot believe that it's in theaters at all, much less in IMAX. It was incredible, and it's not 3D. It's just 2D, but the sound is incredible in the movie. Check it out if you think you can sit through 3 hours of it. It is unbelievable. I cannot believe he even got away with it. I hope it makes its money back. $35 million budget. I don't think it's going to happen, but I love the fact that he even made it. They say it's a comedy. I laughed a few times. There's some very funny things in it, but it's like I'm like, that was a joke. That's where like people could laugh, but it's so intense. I mean, literally a 3-hour panic attack. That the only time you had any relief is when it switches scenes. Like it takes place in the city, and then all of a sudden that ends abruptly, and you're like, oh, thank God that's over. And then he's like in the suburbs, and it's like that's so intense. You're like, when that ends, you're like, all right, thank God he's in the forest. And then that goes to hell. And then he goes to his house, and you're like, oh my God, like it is just, there's no release until the very end. I loved it, and I don't know if I can recommend it, but if you do go see it, like just white knuckle it through that bitch. I don't know if you could ever watch it again. I'm going to watch it again. Martin Scorsese loved it. I've loved reading reviews about it, but it is a 3-hour panic attack, and I walked out like pumped, just fucking pumped.
But you didn't enjoy it during it.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch that you're not like sitting there being like, oh, this is, you're like, I'm excited for this to be over. I'm fascinated, but this is an unpleasant experience, and I still like that. Like Liz did not. Liz afterwards was like, fuck this. She's like, I would have left if you had been down, and I was not down. And I'm sure people have walked out of this movie in droves. But I'm thrilled that that was released. I'm thrilled that it's out there. I wish it reminded me a little bit of Mother. Who directed Mother?
Darren Aronofsky.
Darren Aronofsky. That like I saw Mother opening day at noon where I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that it was like a troll job, basically, with like 2 huge movie stars in this fucked up movie. It reminded me of that a little bit, that I almost wished they had trolled the audience a little more to get people into the theater.
Well, they, I think, had a 0 score. Their initial score, I forget if it was Rotten Tomatoes or some other service like that, like tied for a record low for audiences with Mother and something else. And I was just like, oh, I want to see that. Plus, I'm a Joaquin Phoenix head, huge fan. I love seeing everything that he's in. I'm a Joaquin head.
Actors are incredible in the movie. All the actors are great, and it's like it's a very, very, very dark comedy. It is brutal, and just almost impossible to sit through.
Well, when you're comparing it, people talked about Uncut Gems that way. I didn't really find Uncut Gems that stressful to watch, but people talked about Uncut Gems that way. Was it kind of like that?
No, it was more like Good Time. The Safdie brothers' previous movie, it's more like that kind of intensity, that it's like, but there's no, the plot isn't there. You're not like, okay, he just got to get to here and then it's going to end. It's like, you just don't know what, it's a fever dream.
Okay.
And so it's just unbelievable. But I love Ari Aster. I walked out with I wonder if I can get Ari Aster to film my next stand-up special, to shoot it. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on that. But I was pumped about that. That fired me up. And then today, this is Tuesday, John Mulaney's Baby J was released on Netflix. I almost watched it last night at midnight. I was too tired. Woke up this morning, woke up early, walked the dog, and then sat down with Liz and watched it. And it's the best special I've seen in a long, long time.
Wow.
And Mulaney is the one comic, like, those are the comics that I respect, and admire. There's like your Mark Marons, your Nate Bargatze's, to give 2 examples of comics who've put out specials recently. I really love their specials. I really enjoyed them. John Mulaney's the one comic that like still inspires me. That I watched it and was just like fired up. Like I thought of like a bunch of different bits I'm going to try out at the Comedy Store tomorrow. I was just psyched up. Like texted him about it. Said congrats. Like, and I think it's the best special I've seen in years. Better than Rock. Better than. But I don't need to compare art. But it was just incredible and a perfect special. I think everyone's going to want to see it. And it's awesome.
Is that funny at 9 in the morning? That doesn't bother you?
It's so fucking funny. It's so good and it's fascinating. Like, he's talking about, his intervention and the kind of the fallout and his drug addiction, in just an absolutely fascinating way, and in a way that doesn't get too personal, that makes you uncomfortable. It's like I save some stuff for your own life. He's very good at that. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious. The ending is amazing. A lot of times I'll slip in a troll job situation here. I will not here. It's an incredible special. Everyone should see it, and everyone will. I think it's not a Beau is Afraid situation where people are going to be thrilled to watch it. I loved it. He even does a thing where it starts with him on stage already. There's no introduction. And he talks for a few minutes, and then it's title card. And then the special actually begins. And I thought that was really a really unique way to do it. The theater, the Boston Symphony Hall that he shoots in is beautiful. It was just a perfect special. It's incredible. And I'm like, oh, I've got to fucking get on the stick for whatever I've got coming up. But I love that. I love that there's another comic out there that can push me and make me feel something. Because even if I admire something, I'm like, that's a good special, it doesn't make me like go write something down.
Right. I'm now looking forward to like the last 10 minutes of your upcoming special where you just do a bunch of John Mulaney impressions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He does impressions in his special that are very good. I didn't know he had it in him, but I will not be doing that. And then I have a third piece of art that really knocked my socks off that I will talk about shortly. Other than that, I'm again a great mood today. Not just the inspiration, but I went to Palm Springs last week and had a couple days at one of my favorite spas there, a place called Two Bunch Palms. And I was there for 2 days.
It's where they put you in the mud?
It used to be, but they renovated and they got rid of the mud bathtubs.
I have not been, but you have talked about this over the years.
I love the mud, and I love the Watsu massage. We get in a swimming pool, and they put floaties in your feet, and then they like drag you around the pool. And no, I swear to God, and it's an amazing massage. They don't like massage you; they just move your body in the water, and it's so relaxing. You feel great, but they got rid of that too.
Yeah, but aren't you just like too conscious of like, oh, this person is that I don't know is moving me around in the water?
No, you get over it quick.
Okay.
And it feels great, but they don't have it there anymore. I got to find another place. But I got a couple massages. I got a facial, and they were like, "You don't take care of your face, do you?" And I was like, "I do not. That's how good looking I am. I don't have to do anything." And they were like, made me pay. Have you ever gotten a facial?
No.
It hurts. It fucking hurts. It sucks. But I got a couple great massages.
But I have started taking care of my face the last 3 years or so.
Liz makes me put on sunblock and moisturizer, which I never used to do before. But her face is like flawless, so I'm like, I'll do what you do. But the night we get there, I'm there 3 nights, 2 days.
She's also much younger. That helps.
It's true. But we get there, and it's so windy in Palm Springs that there's like a health warning. They're like, stay inside if you can, because like the dust that's flying around is so crazy. And we're driving on the roads, like you can't see the lines because there's so much sand blowing around from all the dust. I get in there and it's pitch black in the spot at the resort. And like, have you been here before? I'm like, yeah, but not for many years. You know, you guys have renovated, it's totally different. And they're like, oh, well, here's where your room is. They pull out a map that looks like someone was drinking ink and then sneezed on the 3x5 note card. And he like circles like 10 things. He's like, here's the spa, here's this, here's that. And I'm like, which one's my room? Like, I don't know what you've circled here. And he's like, here's where you park and here's where your room is. We're driving around for 20 minutes and I cannot find where I'm supposed to park.
How big a resort is this?
It's like 70 acres or something.
Oh my God.
But it's like the part where you're like, you actually are, isn't that crazy? But I can't find where to park. So I finally just like, I think this is where it is on the map. And I just pull up and we get out and we've got a couple bags. Liz has got like a rolling suitcase. I've just got a backpack. And then I've got this giant case of water, because like when you're getting massages, it's the desert. You just want to drink water. I'm like, I'm just going to bring my own. I always do. And I'm carrying this thing. And for half an hour, we're wandering around this resort trying to find our room. And there's barely any lights on. It's windy as fuck. You like can't even see. And we're like, this is 17. We're in 19. It should be right here. We can't find it. And I'm holding this big thing of water. And Liz is in front of me with her flashlight out. And I just, every couple of minutes, I just go, motherfucker, like as loud as I can because I'm so pissed. And she's trying not to laugh. She's gotten to the point where my anger makes her laugh now. At first she was like, I think you have anger issues. I'm like, no, I just swear and then I'm over it. And I would swear and then be okay. And then a couple minutes later it would rise up in me and I would do it again.
That's still an anger issue.
Sure.
Especially for the other person.
Everyone gets angry. It's how you deal with it. If you deal with it by swearing once or twice and you're cool, great. If you're taking it on other people, that's bad. Finally, like I have to go back to the front desk. I couldn't believe they weren't like, let me show you to your room. This guy finally does it. We never would have found it in a million years. Nothing's marked. Like there's no mark on it. And even like our room was already lit up, so I thought it was someone else's place. We finally get in, and
sounds like the beginning of like an Ari Aster movie or something.
It could have been. And I finally I get in the room. I'm so angry. I put the stuff down, and I just like sit down. Liz is like trying to calm me down, and I finally calm down. And then I get a phone call from the resort, and they're like, "You need to move your car. You didn't park in the right place." And I'm like, you fucking send someone here right now to drive me to my car and then show me exactly where to park and then show me back to my room because I can't do this anymore. And they're like, no. And it's 1 a.m. at this point. And they took me to my car and I was nice to everyone. I got in and then the next day I woke up. The food there is amazing. The spa treatments were great. It's a hot spring you just lay in that I was very chilled out by the end of it and was very happy to have gone there. My back, it doesn't hurt when I sit down, which is good. So I was very happy with my 2 Bunch Palms experience. I will happily go back at some point in the middle of this tour to rejuvenate, refresh. Buy tickets, AnthonyJeselnik.com. Things are selling out, guys. Unless you live in New Orleans or Pittsburgh where people don't seem to give a shit about me, everything is selling out. We're adding shows.
It's ironic.
I know. Pittsburgh does not know I'm from Pittsburgh. They do not know.
But at this point, they might. You have to at least consider the possibility they know. And they're just fucking with you.
It's very possible. But every time I do a show there, I walk out and I'm like, it's good to be home. And they're like, what? And I'm like, Upper St. Clair class of 97. They're like, oh, really? Okay, cool. But they don't give a shit. If you went by like what cities, like the tickets is like where I'm from, it's Chicago and Boston. Those two, I mean, Denver has been amazing, Austin. But again, a bunch of
that's where
second shows.
Your 2 best friends are. Boston, I'm close enough. And then Sarah Gilly, Chicago. Mm-hmm. The 2 great loves of your life.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Gilly's coming. Gilly's coming to a show. When I had the second show in Chicago, she's going to be there with the kids. I added a 5th show in Boston. That's going to be announced tomorrow, so you guys getting the first heads up. But I'm very excited about this tour. And now that I've injected Mulaney into my veins, you guys are really going to get it. I'm going to go to rehab before this tour. Really show you guys what's up. Yeah, it's great.
I always remember you took me to John Mulaney's New Year's Eve party one year. Mm-hmm. And I met John Mulaney on New Year's Eve. What a moment.
Yeah, we got to see his marriage implode in real time. It was like, wait, why is she upstairs and he's downstairs the whole time? Okay, that was a fun night. That was fun. That was yeah. You, me. Was Emeka with you or no?
No,
Emeka was gone.
I mean, that's because my family now is back. That was pre-pandemic when they were leaving me for the holidays, and now they're back to it.
Yeah, it was my brother and his wife, and then you were my date, and then we went and enjoyed ourselves. How was your week?
It was great. I'm looking at your LeBron shirt here.
Mm-hmm. It's the old number. I don't know why did he change his number.
Are you inspired by LeBron putting up some major clutch baskets late as an old man?
Amazing game last night. I actually watched the the second half of that game and was pumped. He's incredible. He's no Jimmy Butler, but he was fucking awesome in that game.
I do love Jimmy buckets. If I could be like an athlete, I was thinking about that. Would you rather be? I mean, I guess you'd rather be LeBron, but I'm trying to pick a different, like, better player, maybe Joel Embiid or something like that. Like, who would be cooler to be than Jimmy Butler? The guy everyone knows is like, yeah, maybe he's not the best player of the league, but he's just cool as fuck, and when it matters the most, he's the best. Like, you'd rather be that guy.
I agree. Like, LeBron is like, it's like he's so gifted that you don't even like want to be him. You know, he's cool. I love LeBron, but if I had to be a basketball player, Dame Lillard. Okay. Damian Lillard, who's just like seems so fucking cool and then just so goddamn clutch that I love that. And Butler outworks everybody, which I think is admirable. But there's no one that I truly hate or wouldn't trade places with in a heartbeat to get out of this fucking shitbag.
Wait, you have something in common with LeBron, which is that you are both still verified on Twitter.
That's right. I am. I've been following this. I'm fascinated by it.
Like, wait, did they take yours away? Like LeBron?
They took it away on the 20th. It was gone. I was like, fine. And then I saw everyone making fun of it. And then they gave them back to anyone, I believe, who used to have one, who had over 1 million followers, got it back.
Yes.
And a lot of people have, like, I was reading articles that it's amazing to see every celebrity come out of the woodwork to say, we did not sign up for this. Like when they got them back. To have every celebrity publicly being like, no, we have it. Like that guy Wint, the account on Twitter Drill, yes, but the name is Wint. I loved that guy, and I followed him for a long time. I bought his books, and him like changing his name to get rid of the blue check mark and then adding it back is the funniest shit. The whole Elon has a burner account where he pretends to be a little kid is fascinating. I love that. That watching his humiliation in real time is fascinating.
Well, and that like the worst thing he can think to do to you, to this guy Drill, is to make him verified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just sort of a cell phone. So you're fine with keeping the verified.
I only use Twitter to promote tour dates and stuff. I'm not using it for anything else. Like Doug Stanhope tweeted at me the other day, and I love Doug Stanhope, but I was like, if I engage, I'm engaging with Twitter, and so I just left it. I don't really read it that often, and you can't. I used to go there for news, and you can't go there for news anymore because of you don't know what's real and what's not. Like it used to be like, okay, this has the check mark, this is legit, but now it's all bonkers.
It's still a big part of my job.
I love watching people just dunk on him so hard. Everyone is hilarious. I mean, Elon Musk is such a fucking loser, and wants to be funny so bad. He would trade places with me if he could. He would love to be me. And he can't. He sucks. It's great.
I agree. No, not much else.
You were verified on Twitter, right?
I was, yeah.
And you didn't get it back.
I'm not getting it back. I'm like 250 or so, 235.
Yeah.
Just looked at it.
I thought about making a joke. Like, I thought like when I lost it, I thought about being like, hey guys, I keep trying to get it. I keep trying to pay the $8, but I can't figure it out. How do I do it? Just to watch like the losers who have it, try to get, because they want people to come back on their side. So they would be like all falling over themselves to be like, you click on this and then you enter your credit card information, your phone number. Like, but I was like, no, I'm going to leave that alone.
No, it actually kind of annoyed me. All the people it's one of those things where everyone's either making the same bad joke about it, or you don't want to be the celebrity or just like the sports writer in terms of people I follow. Because I'm on there for work. It's mostly it is still a good place for football news. I don't post as much and I'm not on as much, but I'll fire off some stuff and you can definitely get news that way. But the people who are just like making a stink about it or like trying to be too cool about not getting it, like it's like, oh, I don't even care. It's like, okay, just leave it alone.
But I love, this is a Twitter account I just started following that's like, I forget what it's called. but it's all just like, Twitter's over, and it's like retweeting people like that. Like the guy who was like, celebrities will pay $8 for a cup of coffee that has their name on it, $50 a day on weed, won't pay $8. Like as if the money is the thing. As if Stephen King can't afford $8 a month. It's like, no one wants to do this. It couldn't be less cool. And it's all because of Elon Musk. I couldn't imagine owning a Tesla right now.
No, I thought I kind of think the same thing about some of my friends that have it, but others who I know like think he's like a big loser. It's annoying.
I mean, he made space exploration uncool.
Although when they explode, that's kind of cool. Like when the thing exploded last week.
Yeah, I like that.
What else happened this week? We went and saw the Super Bloom. Do you know about the Super Bloom?
I do, only because Liz, when we were coming back from Palm Springs, she was like, Super Bloom. And I was like, I don't know, what are you talking about?
We drove up to Lancaster, saw some Super Bloom. It's only around every 10 years or so.
She saw your story and was like, oh, they went. She was all fired up. She was jealous of you guys for going.
I was watching, Walker did a tennis tournament this weekend, second one. And I was thinking, it's weird, but I feel there's like almost nothing in my life now that makes me feel as insane emotionally as going to Walker's tennis tournaments. I don't know if I can handle it moving forward.
Now, what is hard for you? Is it that you want to be out there playing, or is it like you want to coach him, or you just feel anxious for him? Like, what is? Because like if I go see a stand-up show, I just want to be on stage. I'm like, I don't enjoy this.
No, I definitely don't want. I mean, he's my son. No, you're like hoping the best for him. I don't want to coach him. Although there are at the two tournaments I've been at, there's just like one parental, like parents, and it's in the whole tournament. Everyone else is cool, but there's one group of parents that are like the worst sports parents you've ever seen, and end up having to be talked to by the tournament director or whatever that tell them to shut up because you're not supposed to talk to the kids. You have to like leave them out there. But I don't know what it is. It's more you want him to do well, and it's just like. But you're also trying to be like, it's not really about winning and losing. He's just like 8 years old. You shouldn't be, but you're still getting like you want him to do better. It's just like sort of like everything at once that I don't think you could probably feel in like, unless you are a parent. And also with tennis, it's like you're just out there by yourself. Baseball, I don't get nervous like that. I mean, I have it a little bit when he's up at the plate or whatever. I want him to do well, but it's like it's this team sport, and it's not the same thing. But there, it's like you're problem solving. He doesn't know what the hell is going on. Like he's doing all this stuff. You don't want him to be like disappointed. I don't know. It just makes me feel fucking crazy. And I keep it all on the inside. I think if you were looking at me, you wouldn't think that I was feeling crazy. But I sort of get why there's always one group of parents that totally do just like let it out and lose their minds because it makes me feel too much.
Does he enjoy it all? Is he ever just like, I'm bored, like he's into it from beginning to end, win or lose?
Yeah, he doesn't care that much whether he wins or lose, but I think he tried, he's done well enough both times. He's gone 2-2. There's been round robins, and so it's perfect. A little bit of losing, a little bit of winnings.
That's great.
So he's having fun. He doesn't want to do anything beforehand, but that's true of anything. So actually when I sign him up, he's not that like he says he wants to, and then when the day comes, he doesn't want to go. And then as he's doing it, which is true of everything, he's like absolutely loving it.
Yeah, that's normal. And when it's over, is he like sad it's over?
Yes, he wants to do another one.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
It's been fun.
Cool. Good for you, Walker. I got to see the kids when in June. I want to come by because the next 4 weeks I'll be on the road. They're all sold out. Alabama finally got its shit together and sold out my shows. I'm going to make them pay when I get there for not adding a sixth show and not buying tickets more in advance. But I'm excited to.
Wait, you have 5 shows?
I have, yeah.
That's not enough?
In a club. Well, I've been adding. I have 1 Thursday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and then I've been adding a second show Thursday once they sell out at every club except for Alabama coming up because they were just like it didn't sell out fast enough. But now it's finally.
Where in Alabama?
I think in the South. What's it called?
Mobile?
No.
Birmingham?
No. It's not one of the major ones.
Floribama? Remember when we went to Floribama?
Kind of. It's a blur, but I kind of do. I forget the name. It's like a town where it's like half NASA, half like redneck. So hopefully we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to those. I've never been to this town, and I like places. Huntsville, yeah. I like places where they're just like they're kind of into me, but not really. Like I went to I think I went to Birmingham on my last theater tour, and it was just funny to see people who just like bought tickets, being like, "Oh, someone's coming," and then we're like, "What the fuck? Why is he talking about abortion so much?"
It's like your taste in women. And friends too, like kind of into you, but not. You don't want them to be too into you.
That's not true. All the women I've dated have been all about me. And now it's time for a very special
Choo-choo!
recommendation station. That's right. I moved it up this week. Usually we close out the episode with this, but last week, maybe a week or so ago, I got an email from Jack Handey. Anyone who knows anything about me, if you've been listening to the episodes, you know me at all. You know my favorite comedy writer of all time, the best comedy writer of all time, in my opinion, is Jack Handey, famous for Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey, which I've ripped off to become the comedian I am. If Jack Handey sued me, he would have a case. I just took it and made it darker, and the secret of my success. And he wrote a book a few years ago called The Stench of Honolulu, which it's like basically like I don't think you've read it. But it's like Deep Thoughts, but in a narrative. You know, it's like a story about like an idiot, wrong way slurps, if you will, who goes on an adventure in Hawaii. It's hilarious, and it's joke after joke, like built into the narrative. He said it's like difficult to write because you're just stacking jokes, and then you have to go back and change things to make it all work. But he was like, I wrote a sequel to it. Would you like a copy? And I was like, oh fuck yeah, I would. And he sent me a copy. He signed it to me, to Anthony. Hope you enjoy, or at least don't hate, Jack Handey. Just very excited about it. It's called Escape from Hawaii, a tropical sequel. I want everyone who listens to this podcast who cares about me to go to deepthoughtsbyjackhandey.com and buy it on this website. You can't get it on Amazon. You go to deepthohtsbyjackhandey.com. He'll sign it for you. You have this little place you can put your name in, and he'll write a little note to you, and he will send it to you himself. It's amazing, and I want everyone to listen to this podcast and go to his website right now and buy it. $15-16 plus shipping and handling. It's worth it. I read it in one sitting. It's hilarious. It's laugh out loud funny, and he's self-published. But go and make him love me. Make Jack Handey love me, and thank me for selling his fucking books. And again, you're not
I mean,
doing
that
anyone
should
a
be
favor.
enough to make you love him.
Yeah, you're not doing anyone a favor. You are going to laugh out loud reading this book. It's so funny. And again, it's just jokes by the best joke writer of all time, I think, Jack Handey. So buy this book. I went on the website and saw he's written another book in between this and the last one that I didn't even know about. He just put it on his website. He doesn't promote anything. He relies on me. So I went and bought it immediately, put my credit card info in.
I mean, you're kind of kidding, but I don't know if you are kidding.
I bought it, and I got a refund the next day, and he goes, for a fellow jokesmith, like no charge. And he's sending me a copy of that book. So I love this guy. I've never met him. He doesn't want anything to do with me, but he knows that.
How old do you think he is? He's not that old.
I have no idea. He's got to be close to 70. Close to 70 now.
He looks young on the back. I'm gonna buy it because I like funny things, and I want to support the mothership, Jack Handey.
It is laugh out loud funny. Escape from Hawaii, a tropical sequel. Read this book. Buy this book. Tell him Jeselnik sent you. I mean, he literally, like, he'll get the email that a book has been bought. He looks at it. He signs the book, puts it in an envelope, and sends it to you. Like, he's a one-man operation. Support this man. He is a genius. He makes me look like Greg.
Hey.
Escape from Hawaii, a tropical sequel by Jack Handey.
I'm going to recommend a movie this week. We'll skip on the book. So, I've got a backlog. I've got too much stuff. I think it's because I went to Hawaii and actually started watching some things on the plane and whatnot. But I'm recommending the recent Netflix documentary about Waco. Do you know what it's called? I should know this. I think it's Waco, an American Tragedy. And I loved it. It was a 3-part documentary where I think each part was only 50 minutes. I thought it was one of the best documentaries that I've seen like in a long time because it could have been 6 or 7 hours, and instead they made it like tight where it could have been so much longer. You got to the end of each episode and you just kind of wanted to go. Like they had the perfect guest. They could have like lingered and like went through it all like way more slowly, but it just starts like at such a fast pace, and it's so well paced. You can just tell the way they did it. It could have been so much longer, and I think you appreciate that, like good editing and cutting out all the fat. Like they had the perfect guests, like one like true believer who still like was into David Koresh, one like heartbreaking sort of victim, but they didn't have like a bunch, like one who sort of spoke from the law enforcement side, and the law like fucked this up way more than I even remembered. I mean, I knew they fucked it up, but I sort of didn't totally realize that, you know, the government more or less, you know, murdered a bunch of kids and all the reasons behind it. So I remembered it when it happened, but we were so young. We were in our teens. We were in high school at the time that it was almost like I didn't know the ending totally. And it was like learning it as it went. And like I said, I've been getting sick of these documentaries that take way too long, and I feel like this one was so well paced and so well made. Like, it's the type of documentary I think like could get nominated for awards and stuff because it was so perfectly done. So that's Waco, the American Apocalypse. It's 3 episodes, about 50 minutes each on Netflix. It's good.
People say Waco was a mistake, but if we hadn't had Waco, we wouldn't have gotten Oklahoma City. So think about that.
Talk about murdering some kids.
I mean, I had forgotten that too. You're right. It's a 1-to-1 thing that Oklahoma City really would never have happened.
And then I think most
he was
There was
literally
also
there.
Ruby Ridge before that.
Yeah, but there, you know, like, what's his name was literally part of David Koresh. You know, was on the compound at one point.
Yeah, what's his name? Timothy McVeigh?
Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah, what a dick. Listen, sorry, Aaron, but what a dick.
Yeah.
And that was
Choo-choo.
Recommendation Station. Very special. Guys, I swear to God, if I don't get an email from Jack Handey being like, I just got so many orders, thank you so much, I'm going to fucking kill you all. And now it's time for... Did we get did we get any notes?
It came too hard.
Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes?
We didn't get any notes, but I'm gonna give some notes. First of all, I want to thank Mario Zucca, the illustrator, the artist. If you guys follow me on social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter, my icon, my avatar was made by him. He did it for The Ringer, for a Ringer article about me when my last special came out, and I emailed him and asked if I could use it, and he said yes. And then he sent me a poster today, a poster of Pittsburgh. That's a beautiful poster. I'm not going to show it because it's big, but I'm definitely going to frame it and put it up in my home. I know exactly where it's going. It's the perfect size for what I want, and it's beautiful. He said, "Hi, Anthony. I'm the artist who drew the portrait that you use on your social media accounts. I've always been a fan. My respect went way up when you DM'd me on Twitter to ask if it was cool to use the artwork as your profile pic. A real class move, in my opinion." And that's true. Don't steal from artists. Ask their approval. Pay them if they want it. This guy did not. He appreciated it, and I would have paid. It's such a beautiful photo. In fact, there was on the show Good Talk, there was a bust of my head that opened every episode that was modeled after that illustration. They were going to take 3D photos of me, and I was like, "Don't do that."
It was that
Use
long
this.
ago. Wow, when you did that article. I remember it was with Robert Mays, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who I do his show sometime. He hosts the Athletic podcast now, and he's still a big fan.
Yeah, love Mays. I still follow him on social media, and even though he's not on Twitter really anymore. But this guy, Zucco's from Pittsburgh. So thank you very much for the poster and the stickers. I appreciate it, and I'll give you a shout out. Let's talk about the contest winner last week. Lauren Hovey, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, Hovey, won the contest, and Miss Kim emailed her and said, "Hey, do you want the robe? Or do you want the mystery box?" I'm not going to say what the mystery box would have been, but it would have been great.
It was pretty good, I have to say. I mean, just, resale value or whatnot.
Exactly. If you didn't want it, you can make some money. But she said no. She said, "I want the robe." She said, "I'm a senior at Loyola Marymount University. Home of a lot of my comedy friends went to Loyola Marymount.
Nearby. Very close.
And she said she's graduating in May, and she wants to wear the robe at her graduation. And she's going to be a comedy writer. She's studying comedy writing there, and wants to wear it. And I was like, that's awesome. So we sent her off the robe, made sure she gets it. Lauren, send us some pictures when at your graduation when you're wearing the robe. But I was very excited, and you got a bright future. I think the poem that you wrote was widely praised by all our fans, and it could have been a shit show. It could have been a disaster, like when we tried to have someone do the junior vice president sign off, and everyone shit the bed. Everyone shit the bed that we had to go and farm it out to Ricky Hollywood. But we're very
you said
excited
people loved the contest in general, but people thought we chose the right winner, which makes me feel good. And the fact that Lauren is deciding to wear this robe on stage and she didn't want the mystery bag, I think confirms that we picked the right winner. That is a badass move.
Absolutely.
I hope she's taller than I am. I'm like about 5'6". If you round up, it's quite long on me. Almost hits the ground. So it's a long one. That's all.
I don't know what she looks like, but I will guarantee she is white. But yeah, we couldn't have scripted it better. We could not have scripted it better. That she would be a comedy writer, wanted to wear it to her college graduation. I'm over the moon. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you everyone who entered. I saw people regretting they hadn't entered. Next time we'll do more stuff like this. I want the fans to feel appreciated by doing work for us.
I mean, they did a great job. There were a lot of good options. I mean, there were a lot of bad options too. But out of the 140 or so, there was 10 to 15 gems.
They were all fun, but when you put them all together, it was like there was repetition that kind of, it was tough to read them all.
Oh, and many phoned it in. Like, why are you entering a contest like this if you're going to phone it in? Like, it was just like, there was a couple where it was just like you had to get every name in, and it was just like Mad Libs, and you could tell they wrote it drunk in as fast as they could write it.
That's fine.
Like 45 seconds or something.
That's fine. I mean, that's how Aaron does his job.
You weren't going to win that way, though.
No.
You weren't going to win.
But if like no one applies, then maybe you could have had a shot. Right. I get why you shoot your shot. Why not? Now let's take the temperature down a little bit. I got a note for all things comedy. And I'm talking to the company. I don't know who is responsible for this. I don't know many names. I know Aaron. I know Jordy. I know Billy, if you will. I know Al. Other than that, I don't. If you
know Rebecca.
Yes, Rebecca.
Amy.
I know it's not Rebecca. I know it's not Amy. But if you come in and you're like, hey, Anthony, Greg, what can we do to improve the studio? And we get like, oh, maybe this, maybe that, and you don't do it, okay, it's fine. If you schedule a phone call with my girlfriend, if you schedule a phone call with Liz, and for half an hour, ask her opinion on what you can do to improve the studio, and she gives you, real advice, real things to do, easy things to do, affordable things to do, and you agree with a lot of those things, and then months later you still haven't done any of those things, not one of those things, it seems like you're wasting her time. It seems like I don't know why you did it. She didn't call you. You asked to talk to her. Please don't waste your time. What color are we right now? We're green. Because we have one filter on that light and it makes everything a little bit green.
I'm pretty shiny.
There are things that can be improved. And if you had done one of them, I'd be like, okay, you listened to her. She didn't waste her time. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know what you do from here. Just know that the other day she was like, oh, they never did any of the things that we talked about all the time ago. Why did you talk to her? Why did you schedule a phone call? She wasn't in the building. And you're like, hey, by the way, what could we do? You made her get on the phone in the middle of the day and talk for half an hour. Do one of those things. There are so many things that can be done in the studio that she would have felt heard. And again, this is coming from me, not her. She just mentioned it, and I was like, oh, that is weird. That is disrespectful that they did nothing. And I assume people are going to listen to this and be like, oh, okay. We don't want apologies. Liz is over it. I'm annoyed. And I don't want to hear like, oh, what we have, just do something. Do one of the things. Cover up the wood wall, if you will. Get rid of the fake ivy. Replace Aaron. Any of the things that Liz mentioned, you could do.
I mean, you're wasting Aaron's time right now. He has to listen. You're wasting our listeners' time. We wouldn't have had this whole rant.
Listen, listeners, if the listeners love anything, they love me yelling at the people who employ us.
That's a plus.
I love all the employees here, but whoever talked to Liz, do one of the things. Cover up the wood wall. Do a simple thing. Do one thing.
Bring seaweed back.
You buy some of the cameras that she mentioned, the affordable cameras that would have helped things. And goddamn it, change the filter on the light. Get new lights. They can't. I don't know what they cost, but they can't be that expensive. The lighting in here is bad. It's bad.
What does Liz think about like the random Gen X author photo who's dead that's behind me and no one knows who it is?
Elizabeth Wurtzel, she loves it. Yeah. She loves it. Why? I don't understand why. If you had paid this much attention to seaweed when it was alive, then it would still be with us. You're like your weird painting of seaweed.
It's not so much. I mean, the painting of seaweed, I think, sets a mood. It's nice. It's more about the like half-naked woman who died by suicide right behind me.
She didn't die by suicide.
Oh,
it was cancer.
Oh, that's better.
Listen, she's hot and she's dead. She's sexy and I wouldn't say hot. She's sexy and she's dead. And Christina Ricci played her in a movie. We're putting it up. I bought it from her estate sale by mistake. And that was. Did we get any notes?
Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes?
Now it's time to take it down to a little place where emails are a thing. It's Email Corner.
Email corner. Emails are a thing. Email corner. It's email corner.
Guys, emails are a thing. We get a bunch of them every week. JRVP, Junior Vice President at gmail.com. We love them. I read them all. We only use 3 per episode, but I read them all, and I choose the best ones, considering, like, have we talked about this before? Have we already gotten this question? Is this fun? Is it tough to answer? There are some that I'm like, oh, this is almost makes the cut, but doesn't. Email us again. Email the same thing. I don't give a shit. I'm happy to read them. I'm happy to hear from the listeners, and then make Greg read them out loud.
We're going to start with Patrick, who says, we're all amazing in our own way. So I think that's including Aaron, all you guys. He saw you in St. Louis, or he's going to see you in St. Louis. Can't wait. He made it on the podcast as the Butthole Challenge winners. I remember that.
One of the videos, yeah.
I remember Patrick and his wife. He invited his brother and his brother's fiance, which happens to be his wife's best friend, to your show. The only catch is they don't seem very excited to go. And the fiance said, it seems kind of dumb to drive 6 hours just to see a comedy show. I mean, I would maybe agree with that. Yeah. She's never seen your comedy. She doesn't really want to. He's worried that it's going to ruin their time. What does he do? Uninvite them, find someone else, bring them and risk a horrible time, or bring them and have Anthony maybe, just maybe, let them know how awesome he is.
I mean, I think it's really, really funny. Not because a 6-hour drive is a lot.
It's insane. I wouldn't drive 6 hours for virtually anything.
That's why my recommendation would be to, like, make the comedy show can't be the only fun thing, even though it's me. Listen, I get it. It's not the 6-hour drive there. It's the 6-hour drive back. Because if they don't like this show, and again, it's a 90-minute show, and I'm only on stage for 45, 50
They got to be
minutes.
sleeping there at least for the night.
I would hope so. But it's funny to think of them driving back afterwards.
Either way.
Just being, like, just mad. That I said something that upset them. I would think, like, either have, like, a nice dinner when you get there before the show, like, have some other event. St. Louis has got plenty of fun things.
I mean, they
got
to be making a weekend of it and seeing the friends and the brothers, and they're all best friends.
I would hope
the
so.
Women.
The drive is so much that there's too much pressure on it. Although it would be funny to me. I would enjoy the show more if I'm this guy and his wife, if the people we brought are pissed the whole time. That would make it even funnier to me. And listen, the show is worth it. The show is worth it for what it is. And again, you're seeing me in a club. It's much less expensive than it would be to see me in a theater. The drive there, pump them up, play all my hits, play my other 4 hours of comedy, and then be blown away by the new stuff. But yeah, I would say either have a great dinner, like do something, like treat them in some way that's not just the comedy show, or just say, hey guys, like if you're not really into this, like it's a lot. I don't want you guys to ruin our time. Get the fuck out. You're
I'd
not my
be a
brother
little
anymore.
worried. That's why I go to movies by myself for the most part now. Like, I'm excited to see, what's Ari Aster's movie called again?
Beau's Afraid.
Beau's Afraid. I'm excited might not be the word, but I'm going to try to see it. And there's no way I would want to bring Emeka with me, because it'll ruin my time to know how unhappy she is there. So I would have them watch 10 minutes of one of your specials.
I don't think I'll do it justice. It's the drive there. I think people would be fine.
No, I'm just saying, just watch 10 minutes, and if they're in off of those 10 minutes relatively, there's a chance that they're like, no fucking way, I don't like this. It's not for me.
Two things: you are screaming, and seeing me on tape and seeing me live are two very different things.
I get it.
You could not like it. And again, I think it's funny if they don't enjoy it. The drive back is what cracks me up the most. But yeah, have a dinner, do something fun. Pay for it, make it your treat, and that way it takes pressure off the comedy show. If you're worried about it, I'm not. I'll bring those fuckers on stage and execute them.
I wonder if regular listener to the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project,
JRVP,
Junior Vice President.
Aaron finding new ways to fuck up.
I'm wondering if a regular listener and our friend Lakeisha's going to this one, St. Louis resident.
I feel like she may have said she was getting tickets. Yeah, we'll see. And Lakeisha, if you did not get tickets, if you didn't get tickets in time, hit me up, and I will take care of you, Lakeisha. Bring the baby. Bring the child. In fact, you know what? When you go to see Beau's Afraid, take the kids.
I think Lincoln is a little young for it, not yet 3 years old.
I'll bring him on stage and execute him.
Our next question is from Mags. Emiko has a friend named Mags who we just saw in Honolulu. Shout out to Mags. She definitely doesn't listen. The first question is about Lamar Jackson, and he says he asked me what my thoughts are on Lamar turning down his offer. I'm surprised you supported this. Maybe you wanted to get your
it's the second part.
opinion in. In the few times he's gotten to watch the Ravens, he hasn't been impressed with him lately. He thought Huntley did well. That's terrible analysis. I mean, don't base it on just those games. Lamar Jackson is amazing. I am annoyed at everyone's opinion about Lamar Jackson. If someone wants to do contract negotiations in a way that is different than everyone else, and it's kind of like an FU to the entire sports media business and agent industry, which are very connected. Like, I applaud that. And why does that make everyone so mad? And B, like, I know he wants to make as much money as possible, but I think he just wants to do it the way he's doing it. So just let him do it the way he's doing it. He is a great player, and he's betting on himself. And who cares?
He's betting on himself. I'm totally on board. I love Lamar Jackson, and I'm enjoying watching this play. And if it doesn't work out at Baltimore, I would love to see him leave. Yes. I would love to see him go to another team and stop making Baltimore good.
The NFL system for how players are drafted is inherently unfair to basically everyone. Quarterbacks are especially underpaid. If he actually ever got to free agency, which I feel like he's kind of trying to do eventually, he would change the whole contract structure because no one ever actually gets there. They don't even let the good players get there. Anyways, Mags also asks you about how disappointing a lot of the big names, I'm just going to summarize because it's really long. A lot of the big names in comedy, she believes, has been disappointing when she's seen him live. She's seen George Lopez, Chris Rock, Louis Black, David Chappelle 3 times. And with the exception of George Lopez, I was a bit disappointed by the rest. Well, then why did you see Chappelle 3 times? That's on you.
Yeah.
I thought Chris Rock would be funny, blah, 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 blah. Please don't disappoint. Do you still take questions at the end of your shows? And, why do you think they ended up being disappointing in real life?
I think it's expectations. You can be disappointed because people just want to see the famous person. The question I really wanted to answer was up top. You skipped it. Do you tend to switch up your material? I will take questions. If I'm in a theater, I'll take questions at the end. It's like I don't have a time constraint in theaters mostly. I don't know if we had a second show sometimes, but I'll usually take questions at the end for a few minutes. Sometimes it's a shit show. Sometimes it's fun. But the do you tend to switch up your material? No, I do not switch up my material ever. When I'm doing an hour,
you take things out though at some point sometimes, right?
Sure. I mean, I'll edit at some point, but I'm not like, oh, it's a late show, I'll do something different. Like,
right.
I always say, like, I'm a movie. I remember I was doing the Comedy Cellar one night when I first moved to New York, and Jim Norton was like, are you going to open with that AIDS joke you've been doing? And I was like, oh, it's the early show. It's a 7 o'clock Saturday show. And he's like, hey, you're a movie. You go see a rated R movie at noon. It's the same movie you see at midnight. And I was like, yeah, you're right. That I've done shows. I remember I was in Kentucky, and I was doing the murder-suicide bit in my last hour, and it was like a riot. People started yelling, like they were mad that I was doing a bit about suicide, asked me to move on, and I refused. I was like, guys, I can't move on. I know you're mad about this, but I'm a movie, and this guy over here might be down. Maybe he's not. Maybe everyone's mad. It doesn't matter. You're seeing my movie. I'm not changing anything because it would be a disservice to the other people in the audience. Just because you're mad doesn't mean anything to me. I'm doing it.
They don't tone down Beau is Afraid at the matinee.
No, they don't shorten it up. They're not like, hey, let's just cut to the last reel. He's afraid enough. I think the reason people get disappointed when they see famous people, a Chris Rock, a Louis Black, is that you just remember their best stuff. You've seen all their hours, but you just remember the best bits, and it's always going to be different. You're like, oh, I kind of want to see the old bit. They're still doing great stuff, but you're comparing it to their greatest work.
I'm the other way around. Virtually any comedian I think is funnier in person. Even ones that I'm not as big a fan of, if I see them in person, if they're even a little bit good, and they're probably a little bit good if I've seen them because they're on stage at a good enough place, like then I realize like what they're good at when I'm in person, and I like them more.
When Louis C.K.
Like music, I feel that way about music.
Louis C.K. was once doing an interview, and he was like, I don't feel pressure anymore when I'm performing because I realized that people like to say, I saw George Carlin once and he was great. But they love to say, I saw George Carlin once and he was awful. And everyone has bad shows. I've had some bad shows where it's like it's bad, but it's still kind of fun to see a great comedian have a bad show. That it's like still entertaining. Not that anyone's like mailing it in.
Right, so you don't mix it up. By the way, Mags liked your interview on the Talib Kweli podcast, which you felt mixed feelings about. I want to listen to that. That's a reminder. I mean, I used to be a big old Talib Kweli fan, and I mean, still am, back in the day. Last question is from Deborah from Canada, just like Nelly Furtado and her spicy meatball. Forgot Nelly Furtado's Canadian.
You did?
She said she's been sitting on this email for a while. Imagine my surprise when the topic of regrets came up on your 200th episode. No regrets? Why, Renner? Why? I've accumulated at least 14 regrets since last Thursday. I can guarantee if I ran myself over with a snowplow, it would be 15. My question is, do you have any regrets?
No. And listen, I understand what your question is. Listen. Let me explain.
At least something you'd like to do over or forget about.
Sure. There are things that absolutely. I make mistakes all the time. In my career, in my personal life, for sure, constantly. But you can't go fucking back in time. You can't redo them. So, and part of mental health, part of seeing a therapist, part of like being in a healthy place mentally is understanding that if you're happy now in the present, all those things were good. You know, you can't go back, and you learn from them. Being cool, being smart, it comes from making mistakes, figuring it out, and dealing with it. And I've dealt with things. So yeah, I have no regrets because I'm glad of where I am right now. And that, again, that's mental health.
Yeah, but that's also like very, I don't know what the word is, that's about the self. Like if you make mistakes that hurt other people, then I think it's okay to regret like doing that.
Of course. And I would say if I apologize to you.
Like just because it helped you in your development doesn't bring back little Johnny's fingers or whatever.
Yeah, but you can't go back. So what's the point? Like,
why did you do that to Johnny?
If I apologize to you, it's because if I could go back in time, I would do something different. People will say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and they don't mean I would go back in time and do it differently. They just mean like, "I wish you weren't mad. Feel better." But if I apologize, and I try not to if I can avoid it. But if I'm like, you know what, I fucked up. If I could go back, I would do it differently. Then I apologize. So there's not the same thing. Having no regrets and being like, oh no, everything was perfect. I have many mistakes I've made in my life, but I've dealt with them, and I feel like moving forward, I wouldn't repeat them. But I wouldn't say I have regrets.
Well, then by your definition, I don't know if I have any regrets. I'd have to think harder because all the ones I came up with are more in that category of I would do it differently, but I don't know. It's not
like
the end of the world. Too much ecstasy in college. I regret that. We hit that too hard, I think.
Well, I mean, do you think that affected you in some way to do it, or are you just like you're embarrassed by it?
Might be why I'm going to get penis cancer.
You think from Greg?
It's crossed my thoughts.
Aaron, Greg, when he would take ecstasy in college, would suck his own dick the whole time.
I don't know. Well,
I heard that's how you get cancer because you smoke cigarettes and then you suck your own dick. And something about that.
Well, you missed the early JRVP days when I thought that was going to happen. So one thing that happened in LA was related to you. You know what that is. I would have tried like a little harder in college. I mean, that's pretty minor. I would have been more decisive when I left my job at NBC for the NFL. But that's just, I guess, just like a learning experience. It's just like I was hemming and hawing for 3 weeks and ended up annoying everyone. And you're just like, okay, that's not what grown-ups do. You know.
Yeah, but you would change
these are I would change it, but even last week I had a regret that kept me up at night. I was like a little too, I'm not going to be specific here just in case. I was a little too stoned in a situation where I probably shouldn't have been. Not like anyone was unsafe, just more like interacting with other people. And it's kind of like, okay, I shouldn't have been doing this anyways in certain situations necessarily, but I'm getting too old for this. I need to learn from that.
Yeah, but there are a lot of things like in my career I would have done differently now. And when I look back of like, oh, that was a mistake, it was like, oh no, I needed the money. Like I would act much differently now in the same situation. Like my first TV show, Jeselnik Rosenthal, like I had to do things that I didn't really want to do, but I was like, well, I need this money.
Why do you think I sucked my own dick back when we were taking it?
For the money. That I'm like, oh, like I'm just a different person now, so I'm not going to let that keep me up at night. I think regret is something that keeps you up at night. And once you deal with it, you're like, okay, I'm not going to get stoned in that situation.
That's what I'm saying. Like this thing kept me up at night for that one night, but then I just, you move on. It's not the end of the world, and you just. Yeah, so
it's no longer like a regret. It's not an active regret.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything earth-shattering then. Feel good. I mean, this is why I need therapy.
Yeah, you should do it. Everyone should. BetterHelp can help. And that was Email Corner. Diamonds around the world unite.
And that was Email Corner. Diamonds around the world unite. Diamonds around the world unite.
And now it's time for
Ad copy.
No Regrets Edition.
I never have a regret when I use my Tushy bidet. Let's go. We got the Tushy bidet in the mail.
We got T-shirts that we forgot to wear today, but we love them. Greg's kid. Tell the story about the T-shirt first of all.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt. We'll bring it in next time because we do have a few more ads for Tushy over the next few months. And the T-shirt says, "Ask me about my butthole." And I opened this T-shirt. I got a package in the mail. Didn't know what it was from. Opened it up, and here's the T-shirt. Asked me about my butthole. At the time, it was the only time we've ever had 5 11-year-old girls over to our house, and Walker's other friend who's 8 years old. And so they all saw me break out this T-shirt, asked me about my butthole, and it was a hit. It was a party hit.
Did you open it? Like, were you like, oh, what's this? And they're watching you open it? Or you opened it, saw it, and I'm like, kids, check this out?
Somewhere between those two. They were in the room, and I just laughed, and then I was just like.
Did the girls think it was funny because they thought the shirt was funny, or because they had just seen your butthole like 5 minutes before you opened up the package?
That's terrible. They thought it was funny. I mean, butthole is a cornerstone of Walker's humor right now. It's a lot of butthole talk.
Hey,
Every once in a while, even just trying to show us his butthole, which is way cleaner at using Tushy.
Show it off before the hair comes in, Walker. Enjoy it. Listen, Greg, you've been to my place.
I don't know, though. He's sort of got like the Japanese. I just hope he doesn't have as much body hair as me. Just putting it that way.
I live in a 2-story penthouse condo. I've got 2 bathrooms. I've got 3 toilets in there. Tushy sent me a bidet for free, and then I bought 2 more. Because I was like, which bathroom do I put it in? I had to decide. I put it upstairs in the bedroom one. And Liz and I were both like, this is so good. You're getting Liz's endorsement too. You get your money's worth, Tushy. I was like, it's so good. I'm putting it in the other bathroom. And then the floating toilet I put it on there too.
Dang.
I bought 2.
Wait, you didn't get 3. You're not, okay, because it would probably be cumbersome to like carry it around the house when you wanted to use it in different toilets. You're not doing that.
Easy to set up. I'll tell you this. I had the super in my building set up the first one. And it was very easy. I set up the other 2 myself.
Yeah, it comes with instructions, which are like very sarcastic and like funnier than they need to be, with like drawings and everything. The whole branding of hellotushy.com/JRVP. I'm into it. It's the one spring cleaning job you don't need to give the glove up for. Sorry. It cleans up your dirty work. It's just something, once you get used to it, you're like, okay, why didn't I have this earlier in my life? Of course, there's other parts of the world which use bidet all the time, but there's no extra like electricity. You just put it onto your existing toilet. It's very easy to use. Cleans your bum 2 times better than wiping, and prevents poo articles from spreading to your hands and everything you touch. That's crucial.
You want to convert to Islam? This is how you do it, guys. Tushy.
The Hello Tushy bidet attachment comes with a 60-day risk-free guarantee and a 12-month warranty. It'd be wild to return the Tushy bidet after you've used it, but I guess if you're not happy, you will be happy. It's got over 100,000 5-star reviews. Millions of people already love Hello Tushy. Be part of taking care of business the cleaner way. Go to hellotushy.com/JRVP. Use the promo code JRVP. You get 10% off plus free shipping on your first bidet order. That's hellotushy.com/JRVP for 10% off. We're going to support Jack Handey. We're going to support cleaner buttholes. hellotushy.com/JRVP.
I've got 2 bathrooms, 3 toilets.
Mentioned therapy a little earlier. BetterHelp is where you can go if you want to know yourself better. It can be a lifelong process. We're always growing and changing, and therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding. Anthony, I've seen it, has grown quite a bit since he's started therapy. He's a different person. He's a better person. He's a more a generous person. I mean emotionally. I didn't mean financially. You were already good there. Therapy is what you can get on BetterHelp. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. Switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/JRVP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JRVP. Again, BetterHelp.com/JRVP, 10% off for your first month.
And that was
Ad copy.
Let's Get to Headlines.
Oh, shit. There's a song for that.
Let's get the headlines.
Oh, Christ.
This is really, Aaron. We did mess him up with the recommendation
Let's get the
station.
headlines. Let's get the headlines.
Good vibes in the room today. Anthony's in a great mood. I kind of like the recommendation station up top. Maybe it's just doing something different, but maybe that's a permanent thing.
It depends on what you're recommending. You know, if we, I would, if we've got some super, if we're like, hey, help me be friends with this person, we'll throw it up top. Otherwise,
We'll end it, I guess. We're going to start the news the only way we know how, with Menudo. An ex-member of the influential boy band says he was once raped by the father of the Menendez brothers.
I like the way you said that.
Sorry.
The ex-member from Nudo said he was once raped. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. Listen, there's no such thing as an ex-member of Menudo. If you're a Menudo, even for a day, you're in a Menudo for a lifetime. Ricky Martin, hear me and believe me. Aaron, am I right about that?
That I feel like, yeah, like it's like the Marines, the Menudos.
It is. It is. Being the Menendez brothers' dad is like being in the Marines.
Where are they from? They're from, I thought they were, no, they're from Puerto Rico. Okay.
They are? I thought it was a Mexican thing, but Puerto Rico, that makes sense too. Mexico's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about this, because I feel like the dad from the Menendez brothers is dead, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the thing.
That's how he's best known, as being dead, as being shotgunned down. And I did have to remember who they were. They were these infamous brothers. It was in Beverly Hills. A lot of people think of it was a pretty big precursor to the OJ trial, because it was like the first trial that was really shown live on TV that just like millions of people were watching. To back in the 90s, these two sons who shotgunned their parents
Made it look like a gang.
40 times in Beverly Hills. They
Parodied in the movie The Cable Guy.
Oh, wow. But yeah, his dad was like a record executive, like a super rich family from Beverly Hills, which is, I think, what really captured everyone's imagination, that it was in this rich part of Beverly Hills. And they gunned the fuck out of their parents, these two twin brothers. And it turned out that the dad, unfortunately, had been raping the sons repeatedly for their entire lives. And now this member of Menudo had an interview with Today Show, and there was all this other stuff in this documentary that's coming out, and he said he had been raped by Mr. Menendez as well, who, like I said, was a record executive.
Listen, being a Menudo is not free. You got to pay the cost. I don't want to say I don't believe the victims here, but if you're getting it from both your sons, why are you gonna go buy the cow? You know what I mean? No, why are you gonna go?
I'm not gonna help you out of this one. It's funnier that way.
Why are you buying the steak if you got the cow at home? Aaron, is that how it works?
Yeah, why buy the cow if you?
I mean, this might have been before
milk for free.
the sons. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't know how long Menudo's been around for.
A long time.
Long
This was back in the late 80s.
And
I think,
if you're gonna rape a member of Menudo, wouldn't it be Ricky Martin? Aaron?
I mean, even today.
Yeah. Now, what does this guy look like?
I don't know.
Do you believe him?
I don't know. I do believe him. I mean, why would he be making this up?
Why would he wait so long? Why not? Hey, during the trial,
Well, I think this guy was known as like a serial rapist. He raped his sons, and he was a record executive. It makes total sense that he was raping other young men who he worked to sign. Plus, boy bands. It's always fucked up with the boy bands.
Do you think if you rape someone who works, did you wait till after they sign, or do you rape them like you give them the pen and then you give them what for? What do you think? I feel bad. I feel bad for the guy, but I do question. I believe him. But why not say this? I guess, you know what? It's the shame. It's the shame of being like, hey, that guy who got shot, he raped me.
I don't think during the trial of the Menendez brothers, I don't think much was given to their accusations of abuse either.
Wait, really?
Yeah, at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was before people really like I don't know. I guess believed the victims, and like people don't talk about male rape enough.
Right, because they are still in jail. To be clear, the Menendez brothers were found guilty. They're still alive, and they're in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they should be let free now with this news?
I mean, not because of this news, but they seem cool. Like see them get interviewed. They seem at peace. I think this probably makes sense because you remember the Menudo. Aaron, what's your favorite Menudo song?
It was probably Menudo.
Menudo. It's 4 times. Menudo. I like the song Don't Do That to Me. That came out around that time that I believe it. I mean, listen, here's why we're doing the story. Greg looks so uncomfortable. I don't know why.
Well, because you keep saying you don't believe it. Of all the things, I sent it to you. Yes.
Yes. Greg rarely texts me a story to be like, we've got to talk about this. And he sent it to me last week, and I was like, oh, we already have our stories for the 200th episode. Let's save it for next week.
Well, just something about it was just such a surprise. Ex-member of Menudo said he was raped by the father of the Menendez brothers. At the time, I didn't know all the connections that he was like a record executive or whatever. But that just seemed like a delicious stew. Yeah.
It's certainly a delicious stew, Aaron. That's the title of the episode, for sure. It's like member of Blink-182 says he got raped by the guy from Alf. Like we would be leading off with that, for sure.
This did cement something though that I have been thinking for a while. Walker is not going to join a boy band.
What?
Not happening. Like if they come after him, there's always fucked up shit happening with boy bands. Financial stuff. Lou Pearlman, remember that guy?
Yeah.
Whatever, the Backstreet Boys.
Mm-hmm. And NSYNC.
It's not happening.
What about?
Don't ask.
I would love to see Walker in a boy band. What if I was the manager?
No,
if I agreed to manage, and it's just Walker. There's no other boys.
That's not a band. It's not a band.
Yeah, one-man band. He's got the thing where he moves his feet and it plays a drum.
No, based on your reaction to this story, I'm not allowing it.
All right. Sorry, Walker. I tried, buddy. He could have been the English language Menudo. And I could have been the Menendez brothers' dad. Rest in peace.
A New Zealand hunting competition has prompted uproar over a new category where children compete to kill as many feral cats as possible for a cash prize. I mean, I don't see the problem here.
What's the cash prize?
It's $250. The whole idea is wild.
Buys a lot of ice cream cones and lollipops.
I love it.
They have to be 14 and under.
The cats?
I mean, $250 is a lot for 14 and under.
Imagine how mad you'd be right now. No one's angrier than a 15-year-old in New Zealand, who's just so mad they missed out. How do you know they're feral? Like, I feel like I would be like, hey, do I win? And they're just like collars all around your feet. Listen, feral cat, I mean, too many cats is a big thing. That's why Bob Barker was so hardcore about spade and neuter. Right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Yep. They fuck up wildlife. Why should cats get free reign over everything? Put them on an island. Let them eat the rats. But don't let them eat all these cool birds, the colorful birds. I think $250 is a very funny amount to get kids to do your work, to get like child labor. I remember Joe Rogan talking about a trip to New Zealand once, backstage at the Comedy Store, and he was like, it's great. You get in a helicopter and you fly around. There's like a service where you get in a helicopter with like a high-powered rifle and fly around shooting like deer and elk and shit. And I just was like, that sounds like paradise, Joe. That's amazing. Then in New Zealand, like there's like 8 people in New Zealand, and there's all kinds of fucking animals. And they got to film Lord of the Rings movies, so they got to eliminate those animals. They got to get rid of them somehow. You know what I saw? Speaking of New Zealand, I saw the best non-smoking ad I've ever seen in my life. Where I saw this on, I think it was Reddit or something, where it's a guy in New Zealand. It's like just a dude. He looks like Jason Momoa. He's a cool guy. He's a family man, but he smokes cigarettes. And the whole commercial's from the dog's point of view, his dog. And it's like him smoking in the car. He's like, he's happy. He loves the dog, but he's like smoking cigarettes. He's like, hey buddy, come here. Like get in the car. They're going off on a ride. They're doing hiking. They're playing, and the guy's smoking throughout. And the dog starts to like doesn't run as much. And he's kind of like, what's going on, buddy? And at the end, it's like, if you smoke cigarettes, your pets have 3 times as much chance of getting cancer. And it's like the guy like crying over his dog in the vet's office. And I got emotional. Liz walked in right as I finished watching it, and I was like, I had to take a beat to get it together. And they had said that in the comments, they had said that New Zealand tried a thing where it was like, if you smoke, your kids have a higher chance of getting cancer because they're smaller, and people didn't give a fuck. And then they put out the thing with dogs, and it was like, oh, I'm not going to, let me quit right now. That I love that. I love that people love their animals more than kids because, Aaron, how many kids are worth 1 dog?
4?
2.5.
2.5. Oh.
2.5.
Yeah, I do notice that people love their dogs.
There's a
more than
website.
kids.
There's a website you
My
can go
kids.
to that tells you if a dog dies in a movie. You enter the title of the movie, and it tells you if a dog dies in it. There's no such thing for kids.
I'm gonna go with the hot take. I love kids way more than dogs. If like I had to choose to have a hunting competition of one of them, I'm hunting those dogs.
Your kids or all kids?
All kids.
Come on. I get your kids.
Especially my kids.
I don't know.
If
I had to choose between your kids and Rummy, I'm choosing your kids.
Okay.
I'd kill them.
This competition was so fascinating. I loved everything about this story where I just wanted to know more. There were 250 child entrants last year and about 650 adults. So there was 250 entrants last year under 14. The children killed a total of 427 animals in this competition. It did not include feral cats last year. It included possums, hares, and rabbits. But apparently feral cats is like a huge problem in the area. The problem was very much the one you brought up. Animal rights activists and some protests have popped up, and everyone's like, yeah, how are you going to know they're feral cats versus regular cats? And the answer is that if you are found to kill any cats with like a microchip, because I guess in New Zealand they have the microchips, they're like, you're disqualified, you can't get the prize.
Ooh. That's tough.
But they're like, that's a little too late. At that point, the cats are dead.
Now, is it like, okay, you've got a week starting now, send in your pelts? Or is it like they're at a starting line and they blow the horn and everyone runs into a field and kills as many cats as they can before time's up?
I like to imagine it's the second. It's called the North Canterbury Hunting Competition. If we could have like a field trip, like a JRVP field trip, where we brought kids, I feel like this is the trip we need to go
This
on.
might be what it takes to get me back to New Zealand, guys. I'm sorry about Shark Party, and I will come and kill cats for you. I love it. I wonder who the youngest entrant is, like, and how many cats you have to pile up. Like, did they declare a winner?
Well, no. Right now, the story came up because people are upset about the feral cats. Seems like they're pushing forward and they're going to do it, but I don't believe that this year's competition had happened as of the writing of the article.
Did they say how they killed them? Is it like they set up traps, or they just run around with like a big stick and just fuck them up?
No, I think they shoot them with little
pellet guns.
Yeah.
Okay, that's humane.
It seems insane. But any children who produce dead, it really cracked me up, said they would have their entry disqualified, as if that's like that big of a punishment. Only one person's going to win anyways. You're not bringing back...
it's so funny, the idea of bringing like a big box of dead cats and then just sitting there like nervous. Wait, like, I hope they don't find a microchip. I have no fucking idea.
Some of the quotes in the article just made me laugh. One of the government people protesting was like, quote, there are numerous ways to raise money because you have to pay to, I guess, enter. It's a competitive thing. And it raises money for local schools and pools. And they're like, there are numerous ways to raise money. Sending children off to kill cats shouldn't be one of them.
That should be the only one. And they should televise it. It's like a Hunger Games for cats. I would be so on board. I would volunteer as tribute. You still watching Succession?
Yeah.
That reminded me.
Yeah.
It's great. This episode was awesome.
It's been great. I love Sarsgaard so much.
Sarsgaard's amazing in this. He's so funny. I wish he would do more comedy because he's great in this.
I want Yeah, I don't really want a show of just him, but I want him in this show as much as possible.
I want to see him do his normal accent. That's his normal accent in the show. That I would do use that more. He's hilarious. Rory Culkin was fucking. I think it's
Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin was fantastic.
Kieran Culkin is like, it's such a huge fan. I just see if I could be like an actor, I would want to be Kieran Culkin. I just think he's the fucking best. I love him.
He's amazing.
Igby goes down. Truthers, they're out there. Our next story.
Margaret.
Everyone knows like there's nothing better than sleeping next to your dog, unless that dog chews your toe off to the bone, and you somehow sleep through it until your wife sees it and screams when she sees the bloody mess.
This is bones and all, for sure. Literally. I don't blame the dog at all. How are you getting your toe chewed off and not waking up? And what's on your toe? That's letting your dog go to town on it. Maybe like a little nibble, but like to go to the bone, there's got to be something on it.
Wash yourself.
Yeah. You dipped your toe in something tasty and your dog wants a piece. And like, listen, Rummy would never do this to me. Rummy's not great in bed. He kind of just takes up a lot of the bed and doesn't want anyone.
I've heard that, yeah.
Rummy's not great in bed. That would be a good episode title, too. What was the other one, Aaron, I had said before?
I you lost it. I can't.
God, you didn't write it
You
down?
gotta
That's
write
why
it
I
down.
told you.
Sorry.
Aaron, you got to write it down. Do you remember what it was?
I should
It was
have
something
written
you
it down.
said. It was something you said.
It wasn't that long ago. Our listeners are screaming it out loud right now.
Fuck. Fun. What happened to the dog? Like, what happened to the guy? What happened to the dog? Tell me.
The dog is fine. He's not going to get put down. The 64-year-old man isn't mad at the dog. He is selling it that the dog actually is saving him. He chewed the toe down to the bone and cracked it. But because of that, he discovered that his foot was completely numb at the time, and he couldn't feel anything because of 2 blocked arteries in his leg. The part that's confusing to me is like, did that just happen that day, or was his foot? How do you not know your foot's numb?
If your foot falls asleep, you don't need a dog to chew off your toe to let you know. Try to take a step, bro, and see what happens. Do that thing where you tap it. You're like, oh, pins and needles. You don't need your dog chewing off your toe. And I think like maybe the dog did save him in some way, but still, that shouldn't happen. Even if you can't feel your foot, you can feel your dog chewing on the toe for hours.
I mean, imagine he's 64 years old. Imagine being his wife. She just walks in and she looks up and she just sees like the dog with a mouth of blood and blood everywhere, like chewing on that toe, and the dude is asleep. I mean, he's a good sleeper. That makes you happy.
Yeah, that does.
It's a
It
good
does make
thing.
me happy.
I don't understand how he didn't, like, I feel like there's another part of the story that he's too embarrassed to talk about, that he didn't know his foot was
I bet he had to have
completely
been
numb.
drunk. He had to have been wasted to not wake up while your dog chews your toe off. I don't care how fucking numb it is.
See, we do have a picture of the guy. I decided not to show the picture of the toe. It was pretty gross, but I just thought he looks exactly like a guy who would have his toe bitten off by his dog. The dog is staring right at the camera. You can watch it on YouTube, and it's a cute little bulldog.
And that is your Greg Rosenthal. That guy looks exactly like you think he's going to do. Moment of the week. The dog, yeah, I mean it looks a friendly dog. It's not the dog that I expected to see.
He loves the dog.
But the guy looks like a toe. Maybe the dog thought he was licking his face and then woke up with a mouthful of toe.
This is, somewhat unrelated, but this story is obviously bones and all. That the dog is absolutely bones and all. And I did want to mention something I thought was bones and all. Over the weekend, we went to the downtown LA Public Library, Ellis's favorite place on earth. She begs me to go basically every week because the manga section is just like outrageous. It's like rooms and rooms of manga. And you have to walk through the YA section, and they had a big stand of like popular books, and right in the middle of it, bones and all.
Really?
For like 12-year-olds.
Like a novelization of the movie? Or it's just called another book called Bones and All, but it was for kids.
No, it's that. I think it's the book that the movie is based on, and it was somehow in the young adult section. Is that a young adult book?
Is Bones and All based on a book?
I think it is, yeah. It's based on a novel.
All right. Well, now it's a fucking tour. Okay? So buy tickets, AnthonyJeselnik.com, or a dog will eat your toe because your foot fell asleep. You fucking idiots! I'll execute you live on the air.
Last headline.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite story in quite some time.
Same. A couple in India choreographed a suicide by guillotine. Last week. Guillotine. But this isn't your normal dual suicide by guillotine. They wanted to take it to the max. And so they first prepared a fire altar. So as soon as they released a rope, which was holding an iron blade, the blade fell on them, severing their heads, which then rolled through the fire.
Like, so are they? So is it one guillotine or is it two guillotines with one rope? Is it just one long guillotine?
No,
that
it's
both their
one
heads
long
in?
blade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's one rope.
They're like in two sort of, I guess, stocks sort of in the guillotine, one long blade, and they set up this fire altar, which is already like something related to the gods. The altar is there, it's raging, it's right next to them, and they set it up in a way where their severed heads would then roll through the fire.
So was it like a track that the heads hit, or was it just downhill?
I'm not totally sure about that, but they must have figured it out. They must have tried it out.
They did this on purpose.
Yes.
I don't think they tried it out. Like, have your friends come over.
I just mean they must have made sure that if you're going to go to this trouble, I would think maybe, downhill or something. It's a little bit of a slope. They, drop a little bowling ball or something to make sure it works. If you're going to do the most bones and all dual suicide ever, you want it to go right.
And it's a man and a woman.
Yes.
Were they like a romantic couple? Or
they were married.
They were married? Okay.
They had kids.
They
and
had
their
kids?
parents are alive.
I'll tell you this: they must have fucking loved cows to do this shit. What is funny to me about this is it reminds me of, like, let's say me and you and Aaron go to like the lake, and it's like, let's all jump in together. No one's sure. Like, you're like, there's a bunch of false starts. That if you're like, let's behead ourselves with this guillotine at the same time, you must really trust someone. I think that you're both going to do it, because like the temptation to pull your head out and see if the other person's actually doing it must have been immense.
I feel like you're right, but to set it up at this point, I don't know. I feel like you must be confident, like, to go that far to even think of doing a dual suicide guillotine. They did leave a suicide note. They did it as a sacrificial ritual. I'm not sure exactly what for exactly, but they did
Just
it
for fun. Just we're not asking.
Like, what are they sacrificing it for?
I don't know, but I mean, it's definitely fucking bones and all. I'll tell you this right now. Whose idea was it? Was it the husband's or was it the wife's? Because someone must have had I get it, they were in it together, but someone must have been like, hey, you know what we should do? You know what would be a fun way to sacrifice? Would be to do it together with like a one thing, with a guillotine sort of thing, because they could have just shot themselves. They could have drank poison.
Well, they also don't have to sacrifice at all. They have kids and they have parents.
That's why it's a sacrifice. Of course, you don't have to do it. But let's say, I'm going to guess it was the husband's idea. Maybe the wife was like, let's kill ourselves in a suicide ritual. Maybe he was like the one who was like, let's do it together with a guillotine. Because that seems like a guy's idea. The guy is the JRVP listener of the week.
The JRVP listener. The JRVP listener. The JRVP listener of the week.
That's right.
So my
Your sacrifice was not for naught. It was not for naught. Aaron, was your sacrifice for naught?
Not for naught.
It was not for naught.
It is an amazing story.
Aaron, not for naught is the title. Or the title could be, we forgot the title.
I want to go back and find out what it was.
We can find it.
We're not doing. Yeah, Aaron, have fun with that. Have fun going back and finding the title that now doesn't make any more sense. Because Not for Naught is pretty good. Also, we forgot the title is really good.
Okay.
But if we use we forgot the title, then it's Not for Naught.
Yeah.
See, you asked, like, wouldn't the temptation be immense to go look over? And that's, to me, that's missing the point of this.
I assume they were looking at each other.
Yeah, perhaps that's a good point too. But just like when I read this story, I thought for them to go do this, like, I want that kind of love. You know what I mean? They're not looking over. They know. Like you don't get the guillotine through the fire altar unless like you are as locked in as two human beings can be. That's the sort of connection I need.
So you think if you were like, Emeka, let's cut her heads off and have them roll down a thing, she would be like, no?
Yeah, I don't think she would be into that.
I bet I could talk Liz into it.
It'd be tough. It'd be tough for the people you leave behind.
And would your wife join you in a suicide pact with the guillotine?
No. No, 100% no.
If you said you were going to do it by yourself, would she argue with you?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Especially if it was the fire altar. I mean, that's the one thing that no one brought up. Like, where's the videographer? Like, if you're gonna have skulls, heads going through fire just after they were severed, like it'd be great to get that on your iPhone.
You got to go live on that one. I agree with that 100%. And how do you know? Like, what if they show up the next day? The kids show up and they're like, "Mom, Dad," and it's like, "Oh, their skulls are in this maybe it rolled into the ashes." You don't know that it rolled right into the fire. It's too cool a thing to leave to chance. There's no details on how they know it worked.
They're Hindus.
Of course.
Yeah. It definitely would be a talking point at school the next day for the kids.
I'll tell you right now, they're in fucking heaven for sure. They're in heaven, petting cows, doing it all. I think that what I would love to know, what if they fell into the fire by mistake? What if they didn't want that and it just happened to happen? What if it happened to happen, then it was not for naught?
Is that the new title? Happen to happen, it's not for naught?
Might be. Aaron, what do you think?
I like it.
Did it happen to happen, or was it not for naught?
So what? They just have a fire raging. They're like hanging out, you know.
They got cold.
Trading stories.
They got cold while they were setting up the guillotine.
Okay.
It was a chilly night, and it just happened to go in the fire. And they're like, their last thoughts, because your head lives for 10 seconds. Their last thoughts were like, "Holy shit! What are the chances? This is awesome."
You're going to want a warm blade. I mean, everyone knows that.
A warm blade? Yeah, that's true. You don't want a cold blade. You want to make that sure it's sterilized.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen, they nailed it. Like, are the kids mad? Are the kids like, fuck? Like, if you found out your parents committed suicide in a ritual, you'd be upset. But if they did it like this, you'd be like, God damn it, was he an engineer? Like, how did he get the heads to go into the thing? Like, it's fascinating.
It's bones and all. It would be great up until like a week and a half later, where you're listening to your favorite podcast, the Jeselnik Rosenthal Vanity Project,
JRVP,
Junior Vice President.
And that motherfucker won't even give Mom JRVP Listener of the Week. It just has to be Dad. Like they couldn't have earned co-listeners of the week for the first time in both guys.
We don't have it set up that way. It's not in the system like that. We can't do co-listener of the week. But I think let's say me and you are brothers, all right, and we go to visit Mom and Dad, and we're like, oh wait, our mom and dad committed ritual suicide together. It's bones and all. But then you find out that they set it up in a way that their heads rolled off immediately into a fire and burned. Then you got to admit it's bones and all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What more is there to say?
Why
are you looking at me like that?
Walker, get us out of here.
Whoa, Nelly Focaccia, that's a spicy meatball.